I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, May the 12th. I hope all you mothers had a good day for Mother's Day. Brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a bold, straight-shooting telithromycin injection that does what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and most importantly for your bottom line with no BS. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri. For the regular feeder cattle auction here on Monday, they are expecting a good run of 9,000 head. They're going to be starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. Just amazing how the cattle just keep coming out of the woodwork and funneling into Joplin Regional Stockyards. This Friday, they're going to have a Show Me Select Replacement Heifer sale. That's Friday, May the 16th at 7 o'clock p.m. Now that program is kind of in conjunction with Missouri Department of Agriculture and the University of Missouri. When I was with USDA, I used to go down there and screen those heifers. And it's a good program for people, especially for people that are just getting started, not sure exactly what they want to do or what they're getting into. They can get in there and get some relatively foolproof heifers, top quality, to get started with. But check out that sale on Friday. And then I know that I've been talking about these receipts are really going to tail off here as we get into the summer. But the special sales will still be good. And be thinking about a value-added special feeder sale at Joplin Regional Stockyards on Thursday, January the 19th. They'll have a good run. They'll all be long-time weaned and vaccinated there. And of course, you can watch all of Joplin's auctions on DVAuction.com. Border gates closed again, and we got the threat here a few weeks ago, and sure enough, we come back in. The USDA and Secretary Rollins is not really excited about what Mexico has done to prevent the spread of New World screwworm. Basically, they've done nothing. And they haven't been really good to work with the things that the USDA has been wanting to do down there. So she threatened to close the border. They've done nothing, and she closed the border on Sunday afternoon. So it is closed. Actually, I talked to my friend Tato Medina Wallace down there with Santa Teresa Livestock Auction, and I hate it for him. Yeah, that's his livelihood. And they just keep going back and forth with him. But I said, man, I hate that for you. And he goes, no, we've got to get this straightened out. He said, we want to get it right, get it straightened out, get some preventions in there, and then go on. But they are going to cross some cattle on Monday that had already been through inspection. So they will have cattle here on Monday to cross. But then after that, it's going to be closed initially for 15 days. And then they say they're going to renegotiate the measures that Mexico is using and help or lack of that they're giving to USDA to try to take measures to stop the spread of New World screwworm. But then if they're not happy with that, they're going to keep it on. It'll be month to month. So likely Mexico's going to have to start doing something to help that. But we'll see how things go forward after that. But supposedly they have tracked screwworms as close as 700 miles from our southern border. So that is starting to get pretty close. Now initially we'd said, you know, they were way down there in Central America, you know, like 1,200 miles. But apparently they have started migrating a little bit north of there. Now we don't get any cattle imported from many of the states where the screwworm actually exists, but we want to stop that. We don't want to mess with it anymore. But this is going to be bullish to the market if we can stand any more bullish. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, every single thing that comes along just makes your market go higher. And I expect your board will be up big here on Monday. Some people think the limit. I would doubt that it's going to be up the limit, but it'll be up significantly here. And it's already at unseen before price levels. But that's just something that's going on, and it's going to continue to be an issue, I guess. And then our great President Trump has done it again. He's gotten all these other countries to blink, and now everybody wants to do a trade deal with us since he announced the tariffs. And he's wanting to, get a little bit leveled up with some of these countries that we have these big trade deficits with, namely China. And apparently our Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, is made substantial progress in the U.S.-China trade deal. We're going to get details of that here on Monday. All you people that love to hate Trump, I know this is really, this is bursting your bubble to see every single thing that he does work. And as we go forward, we're just going to get better and better, and this country is going to get richer and richer, taking in these tariffs. And everything is just going just like Trump said. And if you look back at everything, he's pretty much been right about everything. Let's talk about your board for last week. June live cattle futures, Monday was up $2.55, Tuesday was up just 2 cents, Wednesday was down $1.15, Thursday back up $1.72, and Friday nearbys were up 42 cents, but then some of your out fronts were down a little bit on Friday. But June live cattle futures ended the week at 214.67. That was up 3.57 for the week. August ended the week at 209.57. That was up 2.80. May feeder cattle, Monday was up $1.12. Tuesday was down 37. Wednesday down $1.25. Thursday up 3.02, and Friday up 50. And your back months on Friday on feeder cattle are also lower. But May feeder cattle ended the week at 297.97. That was up 3.02 for the week. August ended the week $300.30. That was up 3.40. Look at your grains. How about July corn? 449 3/4, down 19 1/4 cent bushel for the week. July beans 1051 3/4, down 7 1/4 cent a bushel for the week. And hard red winter wheat for July ended the week at 517 1/2, down 23 3/4 cent a bushel for the week. Ouch. How about your fat cattle trade up through Thursday of last week? 63,400. Pretty good movement. We had a little bit more movement on Friday, so we're going to have another decent movement of negotiated sales. Live sales of fat steers and heifers last week ranged from 219 all the way up to 230 direct. That's $6 higher on your price spread there. Weighted average on live steers 224.49. That was up 322. Dress sales ranged from 352 to 363. That was $3 to $12 higher dress basis. Weighted average on dress steers 356.07, up 670 for the week. Wow. And then we'll get some more numbers coming in for Friday, and then we'll wrap it all up. But as a whole last week, your Northern Plains traded mostly from 224 to 228, which was $2 to $4 higher. Dress sales are 355 to 365 to $10 higher. Southern Plains traded mostly at 219, which was only $1 higher. But when they start trading on a Tuesday and trade them all on Wednesday, they're not going to get the full, up of the market like the Northern Plains, who know how to negotiate and trade these cattle. Friday we had some more sales. Iowa sold 1,700. They sold 25,800 for the week. Live sales on Friday before 2 o'clock, 227 to 228. Nebraska sold 2,600 on Friday. They sold 23,600 for the week. Live sales in Nebraska 225 to 228. Dress sales 355. Kansas sold just 300 head, 7,900 for the week. Mostly 219, but they did have some top quality cattle that were turned in at 226. Maybe that's what they could have got if they'd have tried a little harder. Texas 150 head, 10,800 in Texas, and most of them early in the week, but a little bit more trade on Friday in Texas at 219. Look at your box beef cutout values. Your weighted average on last week's choice cuts, all of last week's sales, weighted average was 345.65. That was up 117 from the previous week's weighted average. And by Friday afternoon, your late sales were another 32 cents higher than that weighted average at almost 346. All your trades last week on Select had a weighted average of 331.88. That was up 776. But Friday afternoon late, your Select box beef cutout value market was 71 cents lower than that weighted average at 331.17. Choice Select spread on your weighted average was $13.77, and that's all based on 527 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter for the week last week, 559,000. That's tiny and it's disappointing, but it was exactly the same as the previous week and 57,000 head lighter than the same week a year ago. Let's talk about what else is going on. Kansas Regenerative Medical Center, they can help you guys, and consider stem cell treatment that they offer there as an alternative to surgery. All the downtime and the pain and everything that goes with surgery, especially if you got some age on you. Transform your health with Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. For more information, go to kansasrmc.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They're working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer, 7-day moving average, up through your middle 12 states, ended the week at $300.88. And I'm going to put this into the promises made, promises kept department. You remember that I called that the real-time index would go over $300. I called it a couple of weeks ago. Indeed it did. That $300.88 was up $4.54 for the week. And I said I would be surprised if your CME cash feeder cattle index went over $300, and it still has not. It ended the week at 296.14, so we'll see what happens with that. I got a big sale coming up on Tuesday. It's a feeder flash Beaver Clash Graze Out special at Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. I'm going to be going up there. A good friend of mine sent a load up from Nazareth, Texas, and he's going to ride along with me to go up and watch his cattle sell. So we're going to have a good time up there. Come along, guys, on Tuesday to Beaver County Stockyards if you're kind of curious what goes on over there. Be a good day to show up. Let's talk about your cash feeder cattle trends in your sale barns last week. They were $4 to $6 higher, with many turning sharply higher, especially after the fat cattle trade got started, and it was sharply higher again, especially in the northern plains. Look at your big sales last week. The most impressive sale that I saw in your National Beef Wire Stickout Sale of the day was Fort Pierre Livestock Auction in Fort Pierre, South Dakota. They had 6,900 head there. 2 weeks ago was the last time they had a big sale, and the market was mostly $10 to $15 higher than then. Some pretty standout price ranges there. They had 668 head of 6-weight steers. They averaged 652 with a weighted average price of $397.03. Are you kidding me? Weighing over 6.5, damn near $4 a pound. How about 1,942 head of 8-weight steers? They averaged $845 with a weighted average price on all of them of $312.75. And they had a lot of replacement heifers. A lot of replacement heifers that sold for replacement. Those went from 750 to 950. That 861 head of heifers that sold for replacement, that averaged 848 pounds with a weighted average price on them of $288.12. And we'll see if those indeed get kept all the way for replacements. It'll take a lot of discipline to do that when you could turn them out and probably bring them back. But they got them sold pretty high. Let's look at several other impressive quotes from all over. How about Crawford Livestock Market in Crawford, Nebraska? The Robertsons, good friends of mine there, they had a hell of a sale on Friday, including the Selman Ranch. And this is just one load of them, but he indeed sold 279 head of 8-weight steers that averaged 833 and bring from 320 to 322. Wow. How about Burwell Livestock Market in Burwell, Nebraska? 128 head weighed 664 at 358. And talking about the northern plains, it's dry up there, guys. They're getting scary dry. And the cattle are still bringing that kind of money and turnout cattle too. Fort Pierre livestock auction in Fort Pierre, South Dakota that I talked about earlier, that had an individual quote of 75 steers, weighed 607, bring 417. You think, oh my gosh, those cattle in the northern plains are way too high. I'm going to go out east and get some. How about Bluegrass Stockyards in Richmond, Kentucky? A good sale there. 62 steers, weighed 820 through the ring there in Richmond, just about a block off the square, at $299.60. Put wheels under them. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend, and your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, come to me from a good friend up in Alberta, Canada, Darcy Sheets, and he was telling me about a top quote from a feeder flash gang member that I met last summer when I was up there for the International Livestock Auctioneer Contest. His name is Dallas Campbell. He's running these cattle up in northern Saskatchewan. He sold them on the team auction, which is a timed sale, and that's been around forever. I used to watch feeder pigs sell on the team auction when I was at South St. Paul, Minnesota, and that was 100 years ago. But still selling them on the team auction, that's a good way to sell them up there in Canada. He had 710 head of 1,050-pound steers. Here's what they're going to look like. They bring $381 Canadian, or $4,000 a head Canadian. Bring that back to US, and you think, oh, it couldn't be that good. 710 head of steers, weigh 1050, coming in October. Bring 276 US, guys. Follow that. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.